What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Pat and Dan Show. We're live for episode 4. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. I'm Patrick Hennessy. That's Dan Rourke. How are we doing tonight, Dan?
Better than yesterday, that's for sure.
I'd hope so. Honestly, I thought you were going to come on tonight and be like depressed, Dan. But like, bro, we have good vibes tonight. Like, I think it's because the Yankees didn't play tonight, but that's fine. Appreciate everybody.
I was just saying, I'm getting better at just accepting it's just baseball, bro. I know it sounds
silly
for me, but it is not fully, but I'm getting there slowly but surely.
No, it takes time. We're coming off one of the most brutal losses of the past few years last night. Dan, I think if we kind of take postseason out of the equation here, I say we just jump right into things and talk about last night's loss. Because let's give everyone a backstory here. The Yankees scored 7 runs in the first inning last night of Shohei Ohtani. I personally was not too confident going into that game with Ohtani on the mound. But then, bro, after they score 7 in the first, you kind of think it's an automatic win. That just wasn't the case. After 2 rain delays, I called Dan. I'm like, Dan, what do you think about them like restarting this game? Dan's like, you know what, Pat? Barring any crazy just choke here, I'm really happy I get to see some more Yankees baseball. I think word for word what I said is like, Dan, I don't know about that. And then, of course, Aroldis Chapman, grand slam in the 9th. Lakey gives up 3 more. The Yankees lose the most heartbreaking game of the season last night. Dan, how are you feeling about that?
Bro, yeah, so like you said, I was so torn because on that phone call, I did say, like, I know I should want them to secure the victory. And that's what I was leaning towards. Like, I wanted that game to be over. But on the flip side, like, I was kind of happy about the idea of having Yankee baseball through midnight, right? But in my head, I remember it vividly, and some of you guys might as well. In 2016, I think they may have been playing like the Royals or like the Rangers. They had the lead going into the rain delay, and I wanted them to keep playing. They ended up keep playing. Chapman was in, and he blew the game. They lost. That was in the back of my head. What are the odds? That's the exact thing that ends up happening. Dude, that was, like you said, one of, like, for me, bro, that might be the worst regular season loss of all time. It's up there with the game I talk about very often, the Hanley Ramirez walk-off home run in 2016.
It doesn't beat that. I was just thinking of that game. It doesn't beat that. Maybe it's just 16-year-old Patrick was a little bit more emotional about this team. Bro, that was terrible.
That was hard. Don't even let me go into the story about that, because that was one of the worst cries I've ever had in my lifetime. But yeah, no, dude, that was absolutely brutal. And I've calmed down a lot of it since then. But like at the time, dude, like I really did feel, and I put this on my Yankees Avenue post game last night, like when that happened, like that almost felt I felt like that's it, man. Like nail in the coffin type deal, which is like I still feel silly in a way to say, but also not, because like one, like it's still July, and I feel like I'm gonna keep saying it every show. It's like, oh, it's only July, oh, it's only August, oh, it's only September. It's gonna keep going on and on. But like, yo, like it's getting late early, and bro, like if we won that game last night, I would have been feeling really good because the offense is starting to click, which is still something to be happy about, right? But at some point, you can't just be taking positive things away and like looking at, oh, that's a win in itself. No, like what we need is actual legitimate wins, and it would be them losing that game last night. Like that put me in a bad spot. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and bro, I'm gonna be honest, like. Usually I'm super optimistic when it comes to this team, right? You know me. I'm like a delusional optimist when it comes to Yankees baseball. But last night when I went live at like 2-something a.m. for the post game, and I'm on here with the chat and everyone's just spamming L's, and everyone's like, I hate this team. There's no way I could be positive. And every night I come on here, I'm like, listen, don't worry, chat. Like the Yankees are going to win the World Series. Last night was the first time all season where I'm like, I'm at the point where I don't think they're winning the World Series anymore. You look at this roster construction, you look at the heart of this team. I think it would just be stupid. I would make myself look stupid if I continue coming on here every night. I'm like, this is a World Series team. It's just delusional at that point.
Yeah, I mean, remember what I said in the Monday show? I said I'm one loss away from getting rid of all expectations of them making the playoffs. I'm going to let them surprise me rather than disappoint me, and that's officially where I'm at with this team.
Yeah.
Like, by no means is the season over. We're, I think, just about to be at the halfway point with the conclusion of tomorrow's game. So there's a lot of time left, but at the same time, we're already so deep into the season where you can't just be having this wishful thinking, and I'm not sure if this is going to be a topic of today. I'm pretty sure it probably will be. I'm not on the train of selling, and I don't think the Yankees are going to do that, but I do have some things in mind that I want to do regardless of what the next few weeks look like.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into that. But kind of since we're on the topic of the game last night, it's still so fresh in our hearts simply because the Yankees didn't play today, which we were kind of assuming. And Dan, we're going to get on the whole sitting Judge thing. But the topic I want to get into is why the Yankees should trade Aaron Judge. No, I'm playing. Listen, kind of talking about the game last night. Aroldis Chapman, yet another blown save. It's getting to the point where I think it's kind of reminiscent of like that 2017 Chapman when he completely folded. I think that's the last time we saw Chapman this bad. And at this point, I think even if he's not dealing with an injury, you might just want to throw him on the IL and just kind of give him some time off because he just doesn't look good at all.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. And you bring up 2017. Remember what happened in 2017? He lost his closer job. A lot of people forget that. Remember, he lost his closing job. And I don't even want to say, like if I was Boone, like I wouldn't even tell him, like, you lost the job because he did eventually get it back in 2017. But hey, like, if it's a one-run game tomorrow night against the Mets or against whoever, put in Chad Green. I would honestly look at Chad Green as like the what is it, the word? Intermittent closer. Is that the word? Interim. Yeah, interim closer for the time being. And let me just I want to get into the thought that I have in my head because I tweeted this out before, and this is what I was alluding to about how I don't want the Yankees to sell. I don't want them to blow it up by any means, but I want them to do whatever possible to not only trade Chapman, but to trade Britton as well. And that has actually nothing to do with their performance because I do think Chapman would eventually figure it out, but it's absolutely criminal to be paying two relievers a total of $30 million. Just imagine what the Yankees, like their flexibility going into next year, if they had that $30 million freed up to be able to put towards not only just the offense, but you could go get some starting pitching with that. And with the bullpen, you absolutely can piece together not just a good bullpen, but an elite bullpen. We've seen it just from the guys they have this year. I mean, take Chapman and Britton out of the scenario, right? Like you have Chad Green. He's easily closer type material. Jonathan Loaizaga, setup man material. Darren O'Day, I'm comfortable with him in the seventh inning role. Justin Wilson, he looked good yesterday. And then, heck, take $5 to $10 million in the offseason going to next year and get a solid reliever or two. I think done are the days of giving, like even this past year when Liam Hendricks was signed like to $18 million a year. I thought that was the most idiotic thing. And I know it's hypocritical coming from a Yankees fan, but we've lived it, bro. Like, and once again, that's nothing against the performance of those two. Britton and Chapman, I really do. Like they're great relievers, but I would try everything in the Yankees' power to trade them this deadline.
And honestly, bro, it's like I kind of look at this team too, and I think if you would have brought up trading Aroldis Chapman and Zach Britton maybe a month ago, it would have made a little bit more sense. But I just can't see it happening for multiple reasons. One, kind of like you mentioned, the contract, but both of them are making a decent amount of money. I can't see.
Can I interrupt you really quick?
Yeah.
The money, I understand what you're saying with that, but you need a team that's like desperate in a way, like how the 2016 Cubs were, right? Because
Padres?
Or something like that, yeah. Or even honestly, I would. And the Yankees have never been afraid of trading to the Mets. I wouldn't have a problem with trading Chapman or Britton to the Mets. I really, really wouldn't. If they're desperate to secure a postseason spot and try to win in their window, I think they could take on Chapman, especially with Steve Cohen owning the team. He doesn't care about the money. They said they're willing to go past the luxury tax. But yeah, I say a team that's already very much so invested financially, I think they would be willing to take on Chapman and Britton or one of the two if that means they're going to win the World Series this year.
I mean, it's possible, but also like on the flip side of things, when I mentioned like why I don't really see it being too realistic, also because you have to look at the performance of these guys, right? Zach Britton's coming off an injury-ridden kind of first half of the year, hasn't been spectacular since coming back, and also Aroldis Chapman, like we're talking about a guy who's been on such a sharp decline in the past month or so. I can't really see any team kind of going out there and thinking like Aroldis Chapman's going to be the solution to their bullpen issues. So I get where you're coming from in the sense of looking to maybe trade off some pieces that maybe still hold some value in order to not rebuild this team, but to retool in the same sense of what they did in 2016. Because in 2016, like they did trade they traded Chapman, Miller, they emptied out the bullpen, and then they traded Beltran. And I think that maybe they'll go somewhere along that route, right? But I don't know. Britton, Chapman, it's an interesting situation at this point. But kind of referring to acquisitions, I guess we could touch on the Tim Locastro deal that the Yankees did make today. Dan, you posted a tweet right after the deal. You're like, I like the Tim Locastro trade. Do you want to like tell me why?
Yeah, so here's the way I feel about it. I am trusting the Yankees that this is not the move, right? This isn't the move they think is going to push them over the edge, right? The thing that Locastro brings, he's something that they don't have right now. You know, besides Tyler Wade, they are not an athletic team whatsoever. They're filled with, honestly, ogres on the base pass. That's the word I use on my YouTube video today. Yeah, like Locastro, he ranked in. I think we had the fastest sprint speed in all of baseball last year. He is he has the record for most successful stolen bases to start a career with 29, and this year he ranks in the 100th percentile in sprint speed. So just from that aspect, and you also look at his offensive numbers. You look at it, I think he's at like 150 this year, obviously not great, but from 2018 to 2020, he had a 366 OBP, and this might float your boat a little bit. I think he's going to take playing time away from Brett Gardner because I put out a lineup with Locastro in it. You figure he's going to bat in the ninth spot and play center field, which also will let them spell Judge from center field because I've said this. At this point, I kind of look at Judge as like our starting center fielder, and I don't want to say that's not ideal, but I feel like it probably is smarter to keep him in right field because when you put Judge in center field, that kind of worsens the defense, not from center field, but then you have Andujar in left and Frazier in right. So if Locastro coming to this team either takes playing time away from Brett Gardner or maybe it has Frazier sent down, I think there's a lot of positive that honestly that come from it. And also, who do we give up? It was Keegan. What's his name?
Keegan Allen, I think.
Keegan, whatever it is. He's nothing special. At least I hope not. So
he's going to turn to a Cy Young.
I know it's going to be a Garrett Whitlock type deal, but I don't think there's anything to lose from this deal. And he brings something that we desperately need, which is athleticism and speed. So,
listen, Dan, I get your reasoning, right? And that's why when I kind of brought up your tweet, I replied to your tweet, and I was like, Dan, I cannot disagree with you anymore. And obviously that was kind of like a heat of the moment kind of thing. Just, bro, I hate Tim Locastro simply because this is not what we wanted today. After a little bit more research and a little bit more thinking, I still don't like the deal. I'm sorry. I have a video coming out on the channel tomorrow where we kind of break down the deal a little bit more, but I'll go into it a little bit more in depth now as to why I'm just not a fan of the deal whatsoever. As you mentioned, the Yankees kind of lack the athleticism, the speed, but like you mentioned, they also have a guy like that in Tyler Wade, right? So if you are going to kind of put Tim Locastro on this roster to take playing time away from Brett Gardner, I think that you had two guys in AAA that could have done that same thing, and you would not have to give up anything for them. That's Trey Ambergy and Hoy-Jun Park. I hate having to keep bringing them up, but I'm so sick and tired of the organization going out and acquiring these washed-up guys. And I know Tim Locastro does provide some sort of speed and whatnot, but he has really bad offensive numbers this year, and I don't really care how he hit in 2019. I don't care how he hit in 2020. That's kind of just another one of those diamond in the rough situations where you're kind of just getting a diamond in the rough project, trying to prove that you're smarter than everyone else. Hope that he flourishes in your organization. But kind of back to the whole Locastro kind of diamond in the rough kind of thing. This is very reminiscent of the Rougned Odor deal for me, simply because it's an acquisition that doesn't really make too much sense to me, and you already had a valid replacement in your own organization. The Yankees didn't have to acquire Rougned Odor. They had Derek Dietrich already on the team. They refused to call him up. The Yankees didn't need to acquire Tim Locastro. They had Trey Ambergy and Hoy-Jun Park both waiting in the minor leagues. But Brian Cashman liked to say, we'll let them play down there. So it's not so much the Locastro acquisition that bothers me. I think it's the point that now that's just another person blocking this minor league talent that we have that has so much potential. And now they're really not going to get any playing time. And also, if we're still on the Locastro topic, who are you getting rid of off of the 40-man roster in order for him to be in the big leagues?
Was Keegan on the 40-man?
No,
he wasn't. Well, let me say this.
So you're telling me you can make 40-man space for Locastro, but you can't for any of these guys who are raking in AAA. That's what bothers me.
Mm-hmm. Two things that I got to say about that. One, let me make it clear. If this move is what the Yankees consider to be their answer to their outfield problem, then it's absolutely absurd, and I hate it because they need to get an outfield bat. They need to get, hopefully, one of the Martes if they intend on buying this year, which I think – Steinbrenner, he said it again today. That seems to be what they plan on doing. And two, you know more about Ambergy than I do, but I think the main difference is that Locastro, he plays center field. I don't believe Ambergy does he?
Has, yeah.
But is he like a center fielder though?
He's not a primary center fielder, but he does have time.
Because like Locastro, like he is a center fielder. It's kind of the same deal as like why they went with Talkman over Wade in 2019, if you know what I mean. Where like Locastro's a legitimate by trade center fielder, whereas Ambergy like. He could play out there, but he may not be the best defensively, right? And I don't know if this will prevent Ambergy from coming up. It definitely doesn't help. It doesn't help, but I could also see them maybe if they don't get an outfielder at the deadline, which would be very unfortunate, maybe they still will call up Ambergy and then they put their attention towards starting pitching. Maybe. I'm not too sure. But I will say this I think Hoy-Jun Park, I don't think there's any shot he's coming up. I just don't see it. I think Ambergy is a possibility. I don't know. I just don't get the sense Park's going to be coming up.
But that's what bothers me so much because I think Park personally is a better option than Rougned Odor right now. I truly do. Or even Tyler Wade at this point.
No, I'm totally for that. But remember, what I found out a week ago, I'm not sure how recent you found it out. What are they saying? That we would have to pay Odor's full salary if we put him off the roster?
Yeah.
Is that true? Have you researched that? Is that accurate?
No, I don't know where I heard that from.
I've heard it too. So
yeah, I don't know where
if that's true, like that is a big difference maker, which at this point, like I don't blame the Yankees for not wanting to DFA Odor. The issue is that why they ever bring him on in the first place if that was the conditions of the deal.
No, exactly. And that's
Which we
why
could
I'm
go
kind
into
of
depth about that for like, an hour or two, but
no, and that's why I'm kind of looking at the Locastro deal the same way. As in, I tweeted this out earlier when the trade was made. I was like, all the Yankee fans currently on Twitter hyping the trade up like Locastro's a godsend because he's an internet darling, bro. Like Twitter loves Tim Locastro.
You know why, right? Foolish Baseball, I think,
yeah,
did a thing.
Yeah, he made a video about him, so the internet loves him.
And let me say this: anybody who like loves the deal, like that's just BS. Like, no, you can't love this deal. You can like it. Like I like it. Like I don't have a problem. That's weird. Like there's no reason for you. Now listen, if he was like a left-handed bat, then I could maybe understand somewhat loving it because he doesn't strike out a lot. I think his career. Let me pull it up because I have his Fangraphs right here. His career K rate is 18.5%. So I mean, he's not a big time.
That good.
No, but if it's under 20%, that's kind of like my line of demarcation between like being a strikeout hitter and not, at least in this day and age. So from that aspect, solid. If he was a left-handed bat, I would love the deal. But you just got to look at it from like he's a bench player, right? And you want you want Ambergy up, and you'd want him to start, right? I don't want you 100%. I don't want you to look at Locastro as like the Yankees just got their starting center fielder. Now, say he starts playing well and provides some pop offensively, or not pop, I should say, but if he gets on base and steals some bases, then that might happen. But I don't want you to think this is like the move that they all of a sudden got the outfield help they've been looking for.
Can you imagine it is, though? Can you imagine it is, though?
No,
because my thing is, who are you replacing on the bench? It would have to be Tyler Wade has to be sent down, right?
No.
That's my only logical idea because you're essentially just having you're having a right-handed Tyler Wade on the bench now.
No, but the difference is that I know Wade can play outfield, and he actually has played pretty well in the outfield. But he's a legitimate outfielder, this guy, Locastro. His defensive numbers aren't anything crazy.
He's going to split time with Gardner, bro. He's saying you're going to say he's going to split time with Gardner. But Locastro is not a guy who you want to be starting in center field. He's just not. Because then at that point, he's not a bench bat. He's a platooning starting center fielder. And the fact that the Yankees have to platoon Gardner and Locastro in center field is disgusting.
Oh, absolutely. And hopefully it should only last about 3 weeks from now where they have to do that. But I think it's going to be a thing where he might start like 2-3 times a week. And then if he performs, then you'll see him get more playing time, as with any other player. I think the guy that's going to – I think like Frazier's got to go down, right? I mean, you were on board with that before.
Does he have options?
I think he does. He has one, but you could also argue that that's why they wouldn't want to use that because they want to trade him, which him having an option gives him a little more value.
He'll still be on the 40-man, though.
I know. And I was going to say you could IL him, but he'd still be on the 40-man too. Is there anybody is there anybody on the 10-day IL right now that can go to the 60? No, right? We're basically healthy. It's just Britton at this point, right? And Kluber.
Yeah, and
Kluber's already on the 60, right? Kluber's already on the 60.
Yeah, Kluber's on the 60.
So yeah, that'll be interesting. That's something to look at. I mean, who's gonna be taking off the 40-man? But it could be something as simple as I've been calling for Brooks Kriske to be taken off the 40-man for weeks now. Honestly, I mean, I was hoping that would be for Ambergy, right? Like when we were talking about it last week. But for now, that might just be the move because what you could end up doing is for now you DFA Kriske, put on a Locastro to the roster, and then once you do make your legitimate trade a few weeks from now, then you could sort the rest of the 40-man stuff out then.
Yeah. I want to bring up this dono here from Christian. Shout out to Christian with the $2 dono. Appreciate you, my man. He says this was a bum trade. I agree 10,000% actually. Listen, I'm not going to, it's one of those trades that only time will tell how it works out, right? But if the Yankees are using the same logic that I think they are, by making this trade, by them trying to think that they're outsmarting everyone and they're finding such a diamond in the rough here and he's going to turn to their starting center fielder, I think it's a delusional trade and I think it's stupid. We need to stop dumpster diving at this point.
Do you see the chat? Somebody just said there is an open 40-man spot. Is that true?
I don't think so.
Because there's so much stuff going on Twitter about how the 40-man.
Bro, if there was an open spot on the 40-man roster and the Yankees aren't calling up Ambergy or Park, bro, I'd riot.
Andrew Allen, are you here right now, Andrew Allen? If that's true, can you find out if there's an open 40 spot? Not to doubt you, Warren Reynolds. I think there's been way too
much. Trust Warren?
I don't want to not trust you, but there's been too much controversy about the 40-man to think there's just an open spot ready to go. And if there is,
apparently,
hell.
Yes, but Severino. Well, if there's actually a spot open, but they're waiting for Severino to come back, bite me, bro. Because Severino's not coming back for 2-3 months.
You never know. You never know. I mean, because Sevy, they're saying he's progressing really well. And have you seen the videos that they were putting on of him running around? Sevy, they're saying he might actually be able to come back in August, which that kind of excites me because then you're talking. I mean, I don't want to be talking playoff starts, but he could be built up to be a starter by the end of September going into October.
Listen, before we kind of get into the rotation here, I kind of want to address another thing that happened today because there's a lot of stuff that went down for the Yankees, even though they didn't even play today. So apparently Locastro is on the 40.
Well, they officially announced it today, but I don't know. Did they officially announce him on the Major League roster though? Because that's where that would come into play.
I really don't know. I'm assuming he is going to be on the Major League roster.
I'm pretty sure you have the 48-hour window to sort all that stuff out. So he may not even be officially in the 40-man yet, but
I guess we'll see. But I mean, kind of talking about what else happened in Yankee land today. Yesterday, when the Yankees, I think it was in the rain delay, we found out that Hal Steinbrenner was going to be making a press conference today, speaking to the media. I thought he kind of just chose it as perfect timing, right? The team was coming off 2 great wins. He's like, all right, now I'm going to talk to the media. I'm not really going to get too many tough questions. That really bit him in the ass. No joke.
For sure.
Bro, that coming off the most brutal loss of the season, he had to change his entire narrative around. I'm sure he was going to kind of come out there today and be like, look, you guys could see our team's kind of turning the corner here. The offense is coming alive. Everything's fine, right? But it's the complete opposite. And I think what we heard from Hal today was just a bunch of nonsense. I don't know what anyone was actually expecting. What happened today is exactly what I was expecting. We heard from Hal, oh, yeah, like if the situation calls for it, we'll go over the luxury tax, whatever. But one thing that did kind of confuse me was the fact when he was kind of talking about accountability. And how, Dan, me and you know there's zero accountability on this New York Yankees team. No matter how bad you perform, no matter how bad you are, your spot is still there. Look at Brett Gardner, look at Clint Frazier, look at Rougned Odor. But when Hal Steinbrenner talks about accountability and he talks about how perfect his coaching staff is and how they have one of the best coaching staffs in the league and how the players should be taking majority of the responsibility for the team's poor performance, I agree, right? But I think me saying that is much different than the owner of the team saying that, when I think he should be the one taking primary accountability for this team's struggles. Like, does that not make sense?
Well, see, that was the point that I was going to bring up if you didn't, was what he said about the players. Because that was one of the few quotes that I liked. You know, when I hear that he might go over the luxury tax, like my initial, thought is excitement, but at the same time, that's kind of just eyewash, right? Just to kind of give him some slack, But I liked what he said, because before he said that, he said, because he was asked, like, who does this fall on? He said, it falls on myself, falls on, the coaching staff, it falls on Boone, and it falls on the players. And I do agree with him in that sense, because, yeah, we can blame Boone, which I have. We can blame, management, coaches, all that, the front office. But in the grand scheme of things, in the end, it does come down to the performance of the players. They have underperformed.
Of course,
like whoever you want to attribute that to, whatever the fault is of that is very much so true. Now, as for what you said that you think it's Hal's fault, I actually think he might be the least person to blame, except for maybe one reason.
Now, I'm not saying that it's Hal's fault. I'm saying that as the owner of the team, even if you know it's not your fault, because right now, like on the totem pole of like who I'm putting the blame on, Hal's at the bottom of the totem pole. But I think as the owner of the team, you should be the one taking the fall for everyone else because you're at the top. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah. Like from I guess a moral standpoint, right?
Yeah.
But the only thing he's really at fault for is if you could argue he should have fired Cashman, right? Because the person, if you want to go by construction of the roster, that completely falls on Cashman.
Sure.
Because Steinbrenner,
but also he has direct insight for sure from Steinbrenner as far as budget constraints and whatnot.
100%. But listen, I understand we ride on Steinbrenner for the whole luxury tax thing, right? And we hope he would go over the luxury tax. But at the same time, take Steinbrenner out of it. Brian Cashman should be able to build not just a playoff contender, but a World Series contender every single year with a $210 million payroll. And that's not defending Steinbrenner. It kind of is in a way, because that's still a lot of money. That's the second biggest payroll in all of baseball. Cashman, I think, is most at fault because he should be able to do something more than just something with that amount of money. And Steinbrenner, he's given that to him. Let's hope that they do go past the luxury tax if they're actually going to buy this year, because there's really no talk even about this team buying if they're not going to go over the luxury tax. What can you really do? You have $5 million to play with.
No, I know.
There's really nothing you can do. So if you're not going over the luxury tax, you're really not buying. It's all eyewash.
Bro, also that's my thing. It's if you're going to go over the luxury tax now, though, why couldn't you do it in the offseason?
That's why I feel like they're not going to, because
exactly.
You're telling me they're sticking this entire plan of staying on the luxury tax until right now, and they're 2 games over 500. It's hard to believe.
It wouldn't even be worth it at this point, to be honest with you. We're looking at this team. Even if they do go out and get a guy that's going to put them a few million over the luxury tax, that's not changing anything with this team. We know that, unfortunately. And that's why kind of listening to Hal's press conference today, it was much of the same. It feels like every time we get a press conference from either Boone or Cashman or Hal, it's the same rhetoric that we hear every single time, bro. And I have to admit, I'm kind of sick of it. And that's why I kind of wish that we would have saw a different side of Hal today, rather than him just sitting in his office with a hoodie on, a Yankee hoodie on. He's kind of just like, I'm disappointed in our guys. Like, I just want to see someone hold some sort of accountability in this organization, because it seems like no one does. It seems like everyone's pointing the fingers elsewhere, and no one's kind of just like, you know what? Yeah, we need to improve. We're garbage, and I'm going to do everything in my power to do so. Who have we heard that from? No one.
And I think
it seems like everyone's just pointing fingers in different directions, and no one's like, I'm going to do what's necessary in order to change this team.
I hear you so hard, bro. I think if there's one person who can point fingers, it's Hal in a way.
I agree.
And
sure.
I got to say, like, that press conference he had or whatever it was, like, it certainly wasn't ideal. It could have gone worse. I actually, like, his tone, like, I'm not sure if you actually listened to what he was saying. He did have a decent tone about him. Like, I feel like some of the quotes he had today was the closest he ever got to being like a 10th or like a 20th of George's personality, which, let me say this, it's almost unfair to Hal that people keep comparing him to George. They're totally different people, entirely different people, total opposites. Hal.
Well, yeah, one wanted to own a baseball team, and the other one wanted to be a business mogul.
No, but I'm saying, like, in terms of their actual personality, like the fire within them, right?
No,
and how
totally
he brings up a good point. Like, if somebody brought up George, like, up until like the late 90s, like, a lot of, George's like crazy out of nowhere reactions backfired. They did not really work out.
Sure.
Up until the late 90s, which, dude, like,
but there's an even middle.
I love George. I know there is. I love George, but like a lot of the success that we had in the 90s and like the 2000s, like, aren't necessarily even attributed to him. A lot of the failures of the 2000s you attribute to him, So, I mean, like you said, there's a fine line in the middle that I kind of wish Hal was at, right? But to me, all an owner can really do is provide the income for the general manager to play with, and to an extent, Hal is doing that.
I guess, but also at the same time, it's like, I said this in my chat last night, and I still kind of stand by it. Us and kind of most Yankee fans on Twitter, right? All the people in the chat right now, I think that we have like 10 times more passion for this team, and we genuinely care about the direction of this club more than like Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman. And I hate to kind of speak about them when I do say that, but I think you look at it from a different perspective as a fan, right? Because we have no control over the organization. I think Hal and Cashman and Boone, they know that their jobs are secure regardless. And I think at some point as fans, we're kind of just looking at it like we have no control over what goes on. So that's why we're so much more emotionally impacted by it, and we can't expect them to feel the same way. Does that make any sort of sense?
For sure. You're making total sense right now, and I have accepted that I don't think anybody's getting fired in season.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I got from that today.
But it blows my mind that I'm not necessarily expecting anyone to get fired, even though I would like Boone to get the boot. But I think, bro, at some point you have to be like, you have to stop pushing that narrative that we have the best coaching staff in the league. That has to stop.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. I do think if the Yankees don't make the playoffs this year, like, how can you bring Boone back? I don't think there's a chance it happens. Like, I don't think there's a chance. Like,
imagine if they do.
I would be shocked, like, in a bad, like, very, like, angry. Like, I'm saying, like, and I kind of already feel this way right now, and this is what I wanted to say, because you just said, like, what we fans can't really do anything, which is true, but Subway Series sucks. People are going to show up to that regardless, right? I was even considering going. Don't show up to the ballpark if this stuff continues. Like, just don't.
I say it all the time, bro.
Don't show up. I want I want Yankee Stadium to look the same way it did at the end of 2016. Like, not even halfway filled.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. This team doesn't deserve dollars, because why are you going to continue to fill their pockets if they're not going to use that money to improve this ball club?
Because that's
the way I look at it.
That's where Hal will start to legitimately get pissed. Because you brought it up. He's a businessman. And that's when, like, maybe not winning championships doesn't affect Hal as much as we would like it to, but not making money, that affects any businessman. And if people stop showing up to the ballpark, that's where he won't have a choice but to make changes.
Bro, and I'm like sick to my stomach that when we went, I spent money on buying a chicken bucket.
Bro,
bro. We're feeding their pockets for no reason.
So much money, yo. But like, there's certain series where like you just can't help but go. I mean, the Astros series, like I said, I don't blame anybody for going to the Subway Series. Maybe when the Red Sox come to the stadium.
No, again, but you know what I'm planning on, Dan? I say we both go. We go to the Subway Series, but at Citi Field.
That would be something, wouldn't it? That would be
we do that,
dude. That would be the ultimate boycott.
Ultimate boycott, and it's closer to where I live too, bro. So let's go.
That's true.
Let's do that. Also, that kind of took a turn, and I'll get you breakfast in the morning. No, Dan, but like what I want to do, because I think they're doing like a big like 9/11 ceremony, because The whole reason they're doing it like in September is because like the Shea Stadium Mike Piazza thing. So bro, maybe we'll get Cole DeGrom. I don't know. So should be a fun series. But we're looking
that. If they're doing like a 9/11 ceremony, I'll be there for that.
But that would be good vlog content. Solid. But kind of we're talking about Boone now. There was a situation that happened before the game yesterday that I think we should talk about. Two men were sat in yesterday's lineup, and that's your boy Aaron Judge as well as Gio Urshela. I think any logical fan, so I'm assuming the Yankees knew this as well, that the game today was likely going to be rained out. So you bench Gio, you bench Judge, knowing that they're already going to have an off day on Thursday. What was the reason? Like, I genuinely don't understand, because then Boone is kind of on his pregame press conference. He's like, yeah, we're just giving Judge a day off, a much-deserved day off. You kind of look at it from so many different perspectives now, right? And I think Michael Kay said it perfectly on the Michael Kay show when he kind of just ripped on everyone, because I think everyone has a little bit to take the blame here. One, you got to blame Boone because you cannot sit your best hitter in Aaron Judge going up against Shohei Ohtani. Obviously, it worked out in the Yankees' favor, but that's just something you can't do. Two, you kind of have to put the blame on Aaron Judge because we don't know what goes on in the clubhouse, but you can just assume that he's letting this happen. And I think it's kind of sad that he would let this happen, but I want to know your perspective on the whole thing.
I couldn't agree more. Actually, I disagree with you on one thing. You don't kind of put it on Aaron Judge. I'm very pissed at Aaron Judge. This is the first time. I'll tell you flat out right now, bro. I was fuming yesterday. Right now, let me preface this by saying we don't know what goes on in that clubhouse, and I was kind of trying to give Judge the benefit of the doubt that maybe he did barge on, because this is all I was saying the whole time. Like, Judge finds out he's not in the lineup. What I would expect him to do, me who compares him to Derek Jeter all the time, compares him to being one of the greatest Yankees of all time, one of the leaders of this clubhouse, right? He finds out he's not in the lineup. He should be barging on the manager's door and saying, Boone, put me in the lineup. So I was giving the benefit of the doubt that he did that and Boone wouldn't budge. Now, we don't know what to take from Boone as truth or not truth, but he did say that Judge, he was asked, like, did Judge fight on this? He's like, no, we were kind of on the same wavelength. That is unacceptable. This is the first time ever that I separate Derek Jeter and Aaron Judge in terms of like captain material. Now, I'm not saying like Aaron Judge, like I still think he should be named captain because like he is a leader of this clubhouse, right? But he should not have accepted that yesterday. There's no reason why he shouldn't have been in the lineup. Now, that's how I feel about Judge. Very disappointed in that, right? And we found out like he was in the lineup today, so it's not like he was hurt or anything, right? And if he is hurt and they're not telling us, okay, we can only go by the information that we have, which is that he's not hurt. As for Boone and just the Yankees overall, embarrassing, bro. Absolutely embarrassing. And
shameful.
people were saying, yeah, shameful. People were saying to me like, oh, like, Judge, you expect him never to get a day off? No, I have no problem with Judge getting days off. He should get days off. Do it the game before or do it today. Or everybody knew this game was going to get washed out. That's a day off today he could have had. Yep. He absolutely should have been playing in the lineup. He should have been starting in the lineup yesterday. And I was just watching the K show now. A-Rod was on, and I posted this clip on Twitter for those who want to watch it later. A-Rod was saying, because they asked him about this, like he was talking about how if Joe Torre or Joe Girardi try to give him a day off against, say, Roger Clemens or like prime Josh Beckett, something like that, he'd be like, no, you can give me a day off, but you're not giving me today off. Absolutely not. Because one, you want to be in the lineup. You want to show up for that challenge. And I don't think it's something like that where Judge doesn't want to show up for the challenge. I don't think Judge like didn't want to play. It's just a matter of being okay with it, right? So it's from that aspect that one, you should just want to be in the lineup. Two, you don't like it's a bad look. Like, I'm not saying like Judge by no means was dodging Shohei Ohtani, but like people are more than welcome to feel that way. Honestly, it falls on so many people yesterday, and this is probably, I don't want to say the most mad, the most disappointed I ever was in Aaron Judge yesterday.
Listen, but it's fair. And listen, I want to bring up this kind of funny comment from Antonio Sanchez. He said, Judge breaks down door, put me in lineup, Boone, no, Judge, okay. And I think that's kind of how it would go down if Judge did break down the door. And I think you kind of worded it perfectly, because this is something I was talking about with a couple of the Unhinged guys today. And I think this right here is kind of what separates Aaron Judge from Derek Jeter. And I think the two of them have so many personality traits that are so similar in so many different ways. But I think you're definitely going to disagree with me here, actually. But I think when it comes down to that killer instinct mentality, I don't think Judge has that. I think that he's just kind of too nice of a guy sometimes. I think he's a little bit too passive. I think if Boone kind of comes up to him and he's like, look, Aaron, I think it's kind of best we give you an off day today. And it's Shohei Ohtani on the mound, so we think it's kind of just best to give you a day off. And Aaron, I think just knowing Aaron Judge's personality, I'm not going to say yes or no, but I think he's just kind of cool with it. And I don't think Jeter would be.
It's like, once again, let me say, we don't know what goes on in the clubhouse, but it should be something as simple as when Judge finds out he's not in the lineup, he just goes to Boone and says, no, sit me tomorrow. Simple as
But
that.
can you see Judge actually doing that? Because I can't.
Yes, no, I figured I should be able to, right? And in terms of like the power that Judge holds, like he is the face of this franchise, whether whoever doesn't want to admit it or not. If Aaron Judge wanted to be in the lineup yesterday, and this is kind of what I'm getting down to, if he wanted to be in the lineup, like truly, like he could force his way into the lineup with the sway he has in this organization.
Bro, I mean, here's the thing, right? I think this is exactly why you trade Aaron Judge.
Me and Pat had like a 30-minute conversation after we watched that clip back and everything. We were cool. We made up and everything. I did get a little crazy. I stand by everything that I said. I was absolutely right.
I do too.
Pat thinks he was absolutely right as well. It's a matter of disagreement, and that's just how I get about Aaron Judge, which probably surprises everybody the way I'm talking about him right now. This is one of the few times that I will ever like diss Aaron Judge in the slightest, and I'm not even like diss him. It's just I'm disappointed.
1,000%. I'm standing by what I said too. I would definitely trade Aaron Judge. No, that came off bad. That came off really bad.
I'm going to clip that.
No, I wouldn't 100% trade Aaron Judge. I'd be 100% open to the idea of trading Aaron Judge if you get a ridiculous package. That's a little bit better than what I originally said.
I'm good.
That's what I'm. But listen, Dan, let's not go down this road once again. Let's move on to another topic here. Kind of a little more lighthearted conversation. Did we talk about Jason Dominguez in the Futures game? I don't think so, right?
No.
That was announced after Monday. Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. I made a video about this the other day. I'm a little bit impartial when it comes to Jason Dominguez, simply because like I'm not super high on him like most people are, but I'm not super low on him as well. I'm in that middle ground in the sense of like I'm excited to see him for the Futures game. And I'm also kind of at the same time, I think it's a little bit too soon, but I think it's cool to market him. I'm so indifferent to the situation while other people are like, this is the greatest thing of all time. You know what I'm saying?
I think we got to temper expectations a little bit for sure.
100%.
It's gotten to the point where it's like he's so hyped up where like if he doesn't turn out to be Mike Trout, everybody's gonna be disappointed. Like, no, if he just ends up being a guy where like it's like 280 with a 350 on base, which is 25 homers a year, plays solid defense. Another thing too. Apparently he's quick. Is that true? He's fast.
Apparently,
he does not
fast.
Look like he's the biggest, fastest dude ever.
He's built like a tank.
I know, it's nuts.
For no reason.
He's younger than us too, which is crazy. But like, listen, I expect like big things, but to an extent, right? Now that doesn't mean like he could end up being better than Mike Trout. Who knows? But like, dude, don't place that label on him that he's going to be the greatest player of all time. That's why I feel bad for any top prospect, right? And kind of like what Vlad Jr. went through the first couple of years of his career, right? Like that's kind of what we're setting up for Jason Dominguez at this rate, right? Like Vlad Jr. wasn't even terrible the first couple of years. He was just kind of like a league average offensive bat, right? And thankfully for him, now he's turned into an MVP candidate, right? But like, dude, like we're setting ourselves up for some Vlad Jr. first 2 years of his career type stuff with Jason Dominguez, where they call him a bust for not even being that bad. Like, and especially the first year or so. Like, don't expect every rookie to come out of the gate the same way like Gleyber Torres did, or like Aaron Judge, expect what happened with Aaron Judge in 2016. That'll probably happen with Jason Dominguez. Like, it's a slow growing pains for most prospects. Very rarely do they come onto the scene the same way like Wander Franco does, or like most of these like Fernando Tatis, stuff like that. Like, just it could be crazy good out of the gate, but just be patient with them.
Honestly, though, bro, like I kind of look at it from like the other side of things as far as like the Yankees organization goes. I feel like we have guys come up and they reach their peak in like their first year coming up, and I think they do nothing but regress since then. Like you look at Gleyber, for example, right? 2018, 2019, an absolute monster, does nothing but regress from them. Andujar, monster when he first comes up, nothing but regress. Gary, come up, monster, nothing but regress. I hate to say it, but like Aaron Judge, I think he hit his peak in 2017, bro. I don't think we're ever going to see another season like that from a Judge. But I think you kind of get what I'm saying here in the sense of like the Yankees seem to just hit their peak when they first come up, and then they do nothing but regress since then.
I mean, I can't disagree with you because that's all we've really seen. I really do disagree with you on the Aaron Judge stuff, only because I mean, like when you look at it, like one, he's having.
You think he's going to have like another season where he performs better than 2017?
Yeah, it's very well possible he will have an overall better season than 2017, just for the fact of he's still very much so capable of his 2017 offensive production. His defense is even better now than it was in 17. And let me just say about like his offense, like his numbers this year, while still very good, like his expected stats outrank what his current like actual stats are by like a landslide. He's hitting the ball harder than he was in 2017. His expected weighted on base average, I'm pretty sure he's either on par with 2017 or higher. So I mean, I think Judge, he hasn't regressed, but I know what you mean. Like Gleyber and Duar, he's had some tough breaks, but like Gary before this, current stretch, you could say the same about, like it seems like that's the case with a lot of players. Now, what's the reason for that? I don't know if that's like coaching, or it could just come down to what we always say that like about Boone and just this front office as a whole. Like, do they get the most out of their players?
Well, I think there's a reason that it seems like once these guys come up, They're kind of utilizing like that AAA mentality, right? And I think I hate to use this word, but I think they get corrupted by the major league coaching staff. I think they get corrupted by Aaron Boone and Marcus Timms, and they kind of just fall into their ways and they become very passive. And I think when
they
they're
become
in AAA,
content. They become content.
100%. I think content is the exact word that I was looking for, because there's no fire in that clubhouse. I think in AAA, there's some sort of fire. You're playing for something. And then when you first come up, you have that fire still in you. But as you kind of get too comfortable in the big leagues and you don't have a manager that's up your ass 24/7, I think that's where the problem stems from. I truly do. And that's why when a lot of people are like, when I was blaming Boone last night and I was on that hashtag fire Boone train, a lot of people were like, well, Pat, like Aaron Boone had nothing to do with tonight's loss. No, he didn't necessarily have anything to do with last night's loss in particular, but I think he has something to do with the whole landscape of this team for the entire season and last year as well.
Really, the only thing I'll blame Boone for is what I just said before, like not getting enough out of your players, like the lax. I don't want to say laxity, but it's like the content. Like there seems to be a content among majority of this roster. And let me ask you about Boone. I don't know how you feel about this. I totally disagree with people about like he's at fault for bringing in Chapman. I thought that was the right move. Chapman hadn't had a lot of work, and you want to get him right.
You
and
have
the
a
perfect time
4-run
to do that
lead
is
too.
when exactly what I was gonna say. Like that's the perfect time to try to get Chapman right is when you do have a 4-run lead, and this kind of goes back to how Steinbrenner said. Like that's not Boone's fault right there. That's Chapman not performing to the highest degree.
Sure. It's not his fault for bringing him in.
Last night really was the definition of what Hal Steinbrenner was just talking about today.
Yes, and it's not Boone's fault for bringing him in, but I think it's Boone's fault for not pulling the plug on him after he walked like 3 straight guys to load the bases. You could just tell at that point that something bad was going to happen. And the fact where you didn't even have anyone warming up in the bullpen though.
Well, they had Licky, I think, once.
Yeah, but he like speed warmed up.
But still, like I remember even when it was bases loaded, I still felt confident Chapman would get at it because he had I think the first runner got on, and then he had an out, and then he walked the bases loaded, right? Like and somebody's brought up in the chat, like he is still your closer, right? Like you do kind of hope that you give him the benefit of the doubt that he'll be able to either get a double play or even if he gives up a run or two, like it's still a 4-run lead. And that's why what I want to emphasize the most, it being a 4-run lead, like you can't blame Boone for bringing in Chapman, you know? Like
I think that was a perfect situation for Chapman.
There's one person to blame, and there's no second person. I'm not going to blame Licky because he was put in a tough spot. Aroldis Chapman is the only person to blame in the entire organization for that loss last night.
Sure.
Which we could get over easily, bro, if it hadn't been such a rough past few weeks for him. You know, like
no. If
that was a one-time deal or like a 1 or 2-time deal, then all right, whatever. You just ignore it. Closers blow saves. But like it's more than just one game. Like that's a legitimate concern. Like is Aroldis Chapman going to be fixed soon or not?
I think so, simply because it's like this is what
he's too
Chapman
good.
is.
Let me ask you this. Where the hell is his splitter gone?
Bro, I was wondering the same exact thing. I asked this last night. I hate to kind of just assume this, but I think now, bro, I hate to bring up conspiracies, but like I think maybe without the use of spider tack, maybe he's just not comfortable with the splitter. Maybe he just doesn't have faith in it.
I'm no like pitching ninja or anything, but like
neither am I. But it's just a broad assumption here.
I'm pretty sure for the splitter, you want less spin, is what I was told. Because if you have more spin on the splitter, I think it doesn't drop as much. So, well, that's what I read from. I don't know if it was an article. I don't know if it was about Chapman. I saw it on Twitter too. So I don't think that's the case. And 2, not saying this about you, but like I think we should like
the spider tag narrative.
Not just like it's just any pitcher that struggles now is going to be like suspect.
It's just ironic,
you know. I know, but also too. If my math's correct, I'm pretty sure he was starting to struggle before MLB started cracking down on it.
Was he?
Well, it depends because there's 2 different like
it seemed like it was perfect.
There's 2 different like line of demarcations you can go with the whole spider tech thing. One is when MLB said they would implement it, and 2 is when they actually implemented it. You know, like around the first was around the weekend where Cole had that start against the Rays, where there was like rumors that they're going to start doing it, like when the minor leaguers got suspended, right? Yeah. Some people may have worn off then, and I think that's when Chapman started to struggle. So maybe. But still, I mean, it's not like Chapman was some bum that all of a sudden spider tack was introduced and he became good,
sure.
You know, so like he said,
the splitter and slider changes everything.
No, I understand for sure. The slider, yes, you can make a case for that. But as far as I'm aware, I don't think the splitter, like him, if he was using spider tack, I don't think him not using it anymore is the reason to not go to the splitter.
But in that case, then where the hell's the splitter then?
I have no idea. That's what I'm wondering. And I wonder maybe is he still dealing with that? What do you have, like a nail issue or a blister issue? You know, like those don't just go away. Like, bro, I have this
But
one
then he should have been
dude,
on the IL.
I have this blister. I swear to God, it is on the heel of my literally my heel, bro. It's been there for like 2 months.
How?
They just don't. I think it's because I walk in like my shoes and stuff, like
No.
it like rubs against. But still,
You're
like
like
they don't.
Dr. Scholl's.
Maybe they don't go away easily. So like maybe that has something to do with it, you know. So going back to kind of what we said in the beginning, just give Chapman a break. Whether it is a fan of my stint like you brought up, or whoever that was you that brought up that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or take him out of the closer role for a little bit. Just give him a
You
week
have
off.
to. You have no
something
choice
like
but to do so.
My thing is like, listen, if we have a 4-run lead tomorrow, I would put Chapman in again. Call me crazy, right? But if we have a 1-run lead tomorrow, it's Chad Green. It has to be Chad Green. I would plan the bullpen schedule tomorrow around it being Chad Green. Like I would
too.
Operate under the assumption, if it's a close game, this is that you don't have Aroldis Chapman in the 9th. Now, say it's a tie game, you pitch Green, and then it gets to the 11th or whatever. Yeah, I'd rather go to Aroldis Chapman than Brooks Christie, who whatever other bum is on the roster right now. You know what I'm saying? But like 1-run game, 2-run game, you can't go to Aroldis Chapman right now, especially when we need to win games. If we were, say, up 10 games in the division, or even if we were 10, 15 games over 500, all right, give him a few more games to work it out in a 1-run game. But nah, not right now. Too much to lose.
Fair. I want to bring something else up from yesterday. And Dan, I don't know if you could tell, but like before we went live tonight, we were kind of talking about like how our emotions were kind of like regarding last night's game and kind of coming into today. And I'm going to be honest with you, like before we went live, like my spirits were kind of high. But I think now that we're live, it's kind of just hitting me because last night's loss didn't just feel like all the other losses we had this season. We're like, oh, this is just another like pain in the heart and we're just going to move forward. Like last night just felt different in the sense of like, it genuinely feels like our season's over. Like no matter what way I look at the Yankees right now, I just can't find any reason to be excited. And I don't know if that's just because this is today and that's because we're coming off the worst loss of the season last night and there was no game today. But Dan, right now, I'm finding very, very few reasons to be excited about like watching the Yankees face the Mets this weekend. And I don't know if the chat could tell, but my energy is just in that department right now.
Oh, me too. People have already pointed out like, man, Dan looks pissed. Dan looks depressed. I can't fake it, bro. You know this. Like, I cannot fake energy. Let me make one more point on the Chapman thing because somebody's trying to clown me for saying that about the whole blister thing. Buddy, if you didn't know, Chapman left the game a few weeks ago with the blister. That's how serious it was always for pitchers. Imagine trying to put spin on the ball when you have a blister on your middle finger. Just put that into perspective. Just letting him know. Don't question it.
Jacob deGrom is with blisters too.
No, and I'm not clowning pitchers for the fact that they have to leave games for it. Like, it makes total sense. I mean, if you have a blister right in your middle finger, you're trying to grip the ball. Like, there's really nothing you can do. But anyways, yeah, no. Like, in terms of like the Subway Series just overall this year, it's tough to look forward to like. It's tough to keep being optimistic about this team's chances to make the playoffs, right? But I try to look at the individual things. You know, there's still a lot of good things.
You look at Judge.
Yeah, and like not even being like joking about it. Like you get to watch Aaron Judge hit home runs. You get to watch Stanton hit home runs. Gary Sanchez's crazy hot streak that he's going through right now. Garrett Cole starts, you know, like there's still things to look for individually in the game. But bro, like I don't blame you. Like it's hard to have like the classic hype of like, man, let's win this series and get a streak rolling when like I'm not going to be too excited until like that streak is going. You know what I'm saying? I can't get excited about that possibility of like getting things rolling. Like we need like once that 10 game win streak comes, all right, not even that. Give me a 7-game win streak, then we can talk, right? And it's kind of like I like what Boone said.
Even then, though,
my thing try to get to 10 games over 500, and then we'll talk, right?
Sure.
One of the things I like that Boone said the other day after the Tuesday win, somebody asked him like how good does this win feel, and he was kind of like yeah, it's always nice to win, but like we're nowhere yet. Like we got to keep doing this. Like not just win the next day, which they didn't do, but we got to keep winning. Like string multiple, like not just multiple games together, but multiple weeks together of playing good, solid baseball.
Yeah.
So until they do that, bro, I'm right there with you.
Bro, exactly. And that's why you kind of look at that win against the Angels the other night when everyone kind of got so excited. They're like, wow, this offense looks great. I'm like, everyone, like, hold your horses. Like, I get it. Like, we had a pretty good game today, but we could easily lose tomorrow against Shohei Ohtani. And even though they scored 7 runs off him, that's exactly what happened. So even if the Yankees end up taking 2 out of 3 from the Mets this weekend in somehow, some way, I still can't see myself like gaining all the confidence back in this team. And Dan, you know what's kind of funny at this point in the season? It's July 1st. This is kind of like when we get so excited talking about like potential trade deadline acquisitions and whatnot. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't feel any excitement for the trade deadline for multiple reasons. One, I truly don't believe the Yankees are going to go out and get that big piece that we think that they're going to, or in years past that we've been crying for. Two, I don't think that there is any one single or any two pieces out there that the Yankees can acquire that's going to change the landscape of this team. So I think we're kind of just heading into the trade deadline when we're usually so excited as for what's to come and what's to come in the second half of the season. And now we're kind of looking towards it as like, are we going to be a team that's selling?
Mm-hmm. No, it's all fair points for sure. I'll say this, like, as for the trade deadline, there is no single piece or even 2-3 pieces that can change the way this team is performing. Like, bottom line is the core that we have right now has to perform. And the offense is starting to look a little bit better, right? So here's the thing. If the Yankees intend on doing anything this year, and I'm talking about making the playoffs, going on a run, you got to, like I said, string together, like before the trade deadline, 2-3 weeks of playing solid, good baseball. Give ownership reason to go out and buy. If you want to go out and make the playoffs, give the ownership reason to believe that this team is worthy of a playoff spot. Then maybe you get an outfielder, you get a starting pitcher. All right, you can kind of dream, right? But I think Cashman or Steinbrenner said it, like, if they bottom out like over the next few weeks, it is going to be selling time, because there's absolutely no reason where if you're under 500, or even if we're at the same spot we're in now, bro, if it's, say it's July 31st, we're 2 games over, like, there's no point in buying, you know?
No.
And I feel like once a calendar flipped to July, like, that's where it really starts to feel more real. You know, that was part of it last night for me too, yo. Like, there's only so much you can keep saying, like, or like, it's not early anymore. And it hasn't been, but like, now that it's July, like, bro, we're about to be the All-Star break. And God forbid we're a 500 team at the All-Star break. Like, you can't fake
which is
optimism with that.
Highly possible. I think we're only, 2 games up right now?
We're 2 games, yeah.
Bro, and also, like, you look at the standings. Dude, have you looked at the standings lately? The Yankees are 9 games out of first place.
Dude, the AL East, that's such a pipe dream for me.
No, but it's not even AL East at this point.
At it.
Like,
I know wild card, we're 5.5 out, I think. See, that's where, like, that's.
Yeah, but have you seen the teams that are ahead of us?
I know, it's like I'm not sure if the Mariners still are, but they were. Yeah. I know the Blue Jays. Are we still in 4th in the East? Are the Blue Jays ahead of us? I know, and that's what I was saying. Like, this is another thing. Before I get, like, if the Yankees win a few games in a row, I won't get even remotely excited about possibly making the playoffs until they jump the teams that are ahead of them. Forget games back. There's teams ahead of them that there's no excuse, regardless of how bad you've been this year. You cannot be behind the Seattle Mariners on July 1st in the standings. Like, that's embarrassing, bro. It's pathetic, honestly.
No, and the fact that they're playing the Mariners starting on Monday, bro, that is actually, oh wait, no, Tuesday the Mariners series starts, because they're going to Seattle, right? Bro.
Yeah. Which I'm excited for. I like some West Coast baseball.
No, I love West Coast baseball because I love the late night post games. But at the same time, it's like, dude, we're going up against the Seattle Mariners team. If I would have told you that when we had this series against the Mariners that they would be ahead of us in the wild card standings, you would have probably inserted me into like a medical facility, bro. Easy.
Therapy?
Yeah, probably therapy. That was actually, for those of you who don't follow Dan on Instagram, you posted a video of like a side-by-side of like Aaron Judge and
Mickey Mantle's catch in the 1956.
You weren't being like serious.
See, that's the thing. Right? Like, there are certain people that are like really close to me that, like, and I'm surprised, you know, a lot of times when I'm like messing around too, like, I make certain posts that are so obviously meant to like kind of be like in a trolling fashion, right?
Yeah.
That was one of them. While
okay,
I still got some pleasure out of making it, don't get me wrong, because they are rather similar. Mantle's catch was way better, but I make those posts to get people to be like, bro, are you serious? Or to get a comment like, you need therapy, like from my good friend Patrick Hennessy here.
Bro, I literally commented on your post. I'm like, Dan, you actually need therapy? Bro, some guy responded. He's like, well, like, why do you say he needs therapy? Like, it's a nice catch. They're almost identical catches. And then someone
they don't know that we're boys.
Bro, did you see the other person that commented today? They were like,
so bad at looking comments.
The worst way to tell someone they need therapy is telling them you need therapy. It screams ignorance. Like,
that's a good point. That's a good point, Pat. I'm sorry.
Like, whatever.
If they actually do think that you're some random dude, I respect that. You know,
no,
it's
sure.
always a toughest spot too, when like because I'll have other friends that'll just like jokingly troll me, right? They'll be like, worst Yankee page ever. And like people will go at them, and it's like such a tough spot. It's like, thank you for defending me. That's actually my boy, you know. So
it's like, how do you not understand at this point? But Dan, I'm gonna be honest. I know like momentum isn't really riding too high for the Yankees right now, but let's say like they do come out and like Tim Locastro hits 3 home runs tomorrow. That's probably the only way I'm being excited for this team moving forward. And like there's promise, I guess, somewhere down the line, right? When Aaron Judge signs that 10-year extension, Dan's gonna be the most happy man in the world. And also when the Yankees call up Trey Ambergy, I'll be a happy man as well. What?
Did you see Twitter sent me another message last night, bro? Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Jesus Christ. I don't think I said anything bad.
No, you got to relax. You actually have to chill.
Okay.
Nah, I don't know what to say. But no, like we kind of said, we're not too excited for this Mets series coming up. Let's make some predictions for it. Why not?
Sure.
if I had to make a prediction as to how many games they win, I say they lose 2 out of 3.
I just never. That's why I guess I'm bad for predictions. I never have it in me to say the Yankees are going to lose a series.
Really?
It's tough also too to predict because we don't know who's going to start on Sunday. Who would it be? Would it be?
Well,
Tyone?
I think it's Monty Friday, Cole Saturday, and then Tyone probably, no?
I was
Or
thinking
King?
it'd probably be Tyone. Oh God, I hope not King.
Tyone, I think it's
But
Tyone. Because you don't want
listen,
Tyone on the road in the first game in Seattle.
yeah, I'd rather have Tyone than King. But yeah, I mean, I think for the Mets they got Taijuan Walker, who's had a good season so far. He's like a low
And we
2
could have
ERA
had him,
on
bro.
Friday, and then I know, I don't blame the Yankees too much for that.
I
Like
do.
that's worked out probably even more than the Mets.
I
could
would
have
have
hoped for.
bro, I would have rather signed him over Kluber.
Oh,
Even
for
in the
sure.
time.
Oh, 100%. Dude, don't even get me started on Kluber because that signing, even if he comes back in August or September and pitches damn well, like unless he
Terrible.
ends up winning World Series starts this year, that contract was ridiculously
Awful.
disgusting. Anyways, they got Walker tomorrow, and I think they have Stroman on Saturday. So depending on how Cole is going to pitch, I'm going to hope to assume that we take Saturday's game. And then Sunday will probably be the rubber game. I think it's going to be a 1-1 series going into Sunday. So we'll see. I don't think anybody's getting swept. I don't think we're going to sweep, and I don't think they're going to sweep.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I truly think that with an off day on Monday, if the Yankees lose 2 out of 3 to the Mets, and I think we say this after every series, that we want to see like some drastic moves happen. I want to see a drastic move happen if the Yankees actually lose 2 out of 3 to the Mets, because that would mean what? What would their record? Would they be at 500 at that point?
Dude, they
one
they
game
would
over?
be 1 game over, but if they get swept, we're below 500, which I don't think is going to happen. But let me say this, because you just mentioned change, and I want to go back to the Locastro deal. I think why I kind of get like a little bit of like excitement / just like some happy feelings. It's like it's change. Like they're trying something different. Like whether like the effort is smart in the player they just acquired, it's still like they recognize what they're doing needs some sort of a different style to it. And getting Tim Locastro, that's it. You know, it's not ideal, not the best player we could have gotten, but it's like a change of philosophy in a way. Like it's just like I'm not looking at like, oh, the Yankees went out and got Tim Locastro. That's the greatest thing ever. I see it as they're recognizing that they need to add speed and athleticism to the roster. Fair enough.
Yeah, but like, you know, the only way I could like describe this situation, Yankee fans have been screaming either like call up Ambergy, call up Park, or kind of like make a trade for a big outfielder, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of like if me and you were sitting here, and I've been telling you for a week, Dan, I've been dying for Chick-fil-A. Like I want Chick-fil-A so bad. Like I don't think you understand how bad I want it. And you could see like I'm visibly starving. Like my bones are like popping out of my skin. You're like, all right, Pat, I'm going out to get something to eat. I'm like, all right, bro, this dude's definitely getting me Chick-fil-A. He comes back and you pull up with like McDonald's.
Fair. But the way I see it right now is I come back with McDonald's, but I'm telling you, listen, Pat, in 3 weeks, I got you on that Chick-fil-A. But if I don't come
back...
What
if I'm dead in 3... I could be dead in 3 weeks, just like the Yankee season.
Valid point. But then in 3 weeks from now, if we are dead, then... What's the analogy here?
Then you don't need the Chick-fil-A.
I'm gonna say we sell the McDonald's that we got. I don't know, bro. We sell all the
not possible.
We sell all the food that we already have. If in 3 weeks we're dead,
we're dead though. You can't do anything with it. There's literally no hope at that point.
That's fair.
That's why
enough.
You get the Chick-fil-A when you're alive and you're starving.
Can I bring up one thing here that somebody in the chat mentioned? It's a good topic. I'm not sure if we've discussed it. We talk about Garrett Cole. If say we get Garrett Cole, not as bad as he was against Boston.
Is it this comment right here?
Yeah, like what if Cole, what if he is the pitcher we saw on Sunday against Boston? Not even saying that bad, but like what if? No, but I'm saying I'm saying in the case where that is true because my whole thing was steroids, right?
Do you have a fly?
Yeah, did you see that?
Oh my god, yeah.
There's been this one fly just roaming around, bro, the whole day. I know. With anything to do with like cheating, sticky stuff, steroids, like. You use it for a reason. If it didn't give you an advantage, you wouldn't use it. Clearly, we know Cole gained an advantage from this spider. Dude, what the fuck? I'm going to kill this. Anyways, Cole gained an advantage from this stuff. Without it, even when he was pitching well, he wasn't striking out hitters. And then we see him going against Boston and crap the bed, right? It's tough to imagine that. What if Cole is like a 4 ERA pitcher and we have him signed to a historic contract? That will ruin this franchise.
No, don't say that because I would be sick to my stomach, but at the same time, it would be kind of laughable. But I just don't think that's true. I truly think that like Garrett Cole is still a good pitcher even without the sticky stuff. I think he's just kind of in like a little rough patch in his season, I think he's going to come back around. I truly do.
Because there absolutely is an adjustment period regardless. So I'm with you on that 100%. Like, I don't think
also,
Cole's a
let's
bad
not forget,
pitcher.
he almost won a Cy Young in Pittsburgh too, no?
I was going to mention that as well. Like people always say like Pirates Cole, right? And of course that would be a regression from the Cole that we've known as a Yankee. But dude, in 2015, he went 19-7 with like a 2.6 ERA. So Pittsburgh Cole, he was still a first overall pick, was still a Cy Young contender. So by no means, I don't think it's going to be like a horrible signing, but it does have the possibility of like, if he's not like, he has to at least be ace caliber. If he's anything less than that, and to me, ace caliber is like you pitch 33 starts a year and over 210, 20 innings, and you have like an ERA less than like 3.4. That's ace caliber.
3.5, but sure, yeah. I agree. I mean, now I think it just depends on kind of like what we see. I want to see Cole's next 3 starts. After his next 3 starts, I'll kind of make my assumption as to like what we're going to see moving forward. But I think that there's no shot that like we're going to see like Pirates Cole. There's no way. I think the whole thing of Pirates Cole was just like the inconsistency of him trying to just like
could be what we get
figure out his career.
Because so far that's kind of been what it's been.
Maybe
because if we want to, let's start with going back to the Tampa Bay series, right? Because that's when the first time his spin rate was dramatically down. From the Rays start to now, he's had, I think it's been a total of 5 starts, right? Yeah. 3 pretty solid starts where he hasn't looked great in, but his overall line has been good, right? And then 2 bad starts. That's Pirates Garrett Cole right there. And I'm pretty sure if you take his ERA from those 5 starts, I'm going to guess it's like a mid-4 ERA. That's Pirates Garrett Cole.
But Dan,
I don't want you to think that I'm predicting this. I'm saying the possibility does scare me. Like, I don't blame anybody for possibly being freaked out about it.
Okay, so it's the same thing as the Judge conversation from last week. It's a possibility.
No, but that's not a possibility. You're wrong. Somebody brings up like that if Cole can't pitch with the sticky stuff, like it'll be worse than the A-Rod deal, worse than the Ellsbury deal.
Worst of any deal of all time.
Dude, that will be like the worst deal of all time. You would think. Now, there's a difference though, because like Ellsbury, like it's not necessarily like a performance thing. Like, he obviously wasn't that good with us anyways. But like, if Cole is still making 33 starts a year with a 4 ERA, that has value, obviously, but not $36 million a year value. So, bro, like that's another storyline to look at, right? Like, and this is what I was saying before. I'm not sure if I even said this to you, but I was saying it to somebody else. Like, regardless of the Yankees contend this year, I'm still so invested into this team because there's so much stuff to focus on, right? Not even just the positives, just like the Yankees when they're bad, like they almost take up more headlines than when they're good, right? Like the things that we get to pay attention to, 100%. Like from watching to see how Garrett Cole performs, to see if they're going to sell off at the deadline, to see if any of these young kids come up, to see who gets fired. Like it's still very much an interesting conversation, like many interesting conversations we're going to be able to have over the next few months, regardless of what happens.
This is so reminiscent of 2016. Like, it's scary.
2016 had a better vibe though, bro, because we had Judge waiting, we had Gary already came up, like.
No, I know we had top prospects waiting, but like the thing is, we knew that they were going to come up. We have like prospects in the minors with potential right now, but I think we know that they're not coming up. So it's like, where's our hope coming from at this point?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. No, 2016 was better feeling.
Yeah, okay, like sure.
Yeah, look, there was more of like
there was more hope in the future.
It's like, dude, if you remember in 2016, like it was different than what it is right now, because like in terms of like who wants to buy in the fan base and who wants to sell, like is it split? You think like right? Like it's torn. It's definitely torn.
No, I think most people would want to sell right now.
You think? Okay, then never mind. Because I was gonna say I feel like in 2016, at least more than right now, like almost everybody was on board with selling in 2016. Everybody, like we were all for it, weren't we?
It was a much older team too.
Yeah, that's all what I'm saying.
It made more sense.
We were ready to like kind of like change the curtain a little bit, right? Whereas now, like there is still that in between, where like I feel like in 2016, if we won 4 games in a row, like the mindset didn't change. Like, guys, we got to sell. It's time to turn the corner. But like if we win 4 games in a row with this team, like because of the talent we do have on this roster, like it's hard not to fall into the trap of buying in, right?
Yeah. I agree. I just hope that somehow, some way we could see like a ridiculous revival from the Yankees here and they could just turn things around this season and I could get my motivation back up about the team. But regardless, I'm still going to be going live every single day for pre-games, post-games. Before we do wrap up episode 4 of the Pat and Dan Show today, I want to bring up one more topic here. And that's how Yankee fans are starting to piss me off a little bit. I don't know if you saw the video. I think it was on TikTok, but someone commented on TikTok. They're like, oh, well, at least the Yankees fans are chanting like fire Boone now instead of the FL Tuve chants. Bro, and then there's a video of Yankee fans on a train, and all they're doing is chanting FL Tuve. I'm so over these FL Tuve chants. It was funny when we were there because Altuve's in the Bronx. Like, it makes sense, like FUL Tuve. But like now it's getting to the point where, bro, Yankee fans complain all the time. Oh, we live so rent-free in the heads of Red Sox and Mets fans. And now here we are letting the Astros live in our heads rent-free when they're having double the better season than we are.
Yeah, bro. The FL2A chants are embarrassing. And I said this all along. If they wanted to have it be like a daily thing, make it a part of the roll call, and I would have been somewhat okay with that, right?
Sure.
And if we were in first place, if we were a winning team, if we were 10, 15, 20 games over 500, a little bit more acceptable. Bro, when we're going through losses like we were last night, and I think, did we hear FL2A chants last night or no? Maybe not.
At some point, probably.
But regardless, they'll be this most embarrassing losses, right? Like
apparently they did do it last night, according to
okay. Yeah, no, I'm pretty positive they did, and it's so embarrassing. Like it honestly is shameful. The FL2A chants. Like, it makes it look stupid and like.
Bro, the fact FL2A's doing, he would be the best hitter on this team right now.
Second best, but yeah.
Okay. You're crazy.
I mean, that's fact. But anyways, it's such a bad look, and it's annoying because it's the casuals that are doing it. It's not guys like me and you. It's not the people that are in the chat right now. It's like the casuals that maybe go to like 1 or 2 games. It's not even that. It's the people. Bro. It's exactly that. It honestly is. They hear it on TV and they think everybody's
want to be
a
part of something.
Like,
yeah,
dude, like very rarely we ever see anybody that's like legitimate on Yankees Twitter be like positive about the FL2A chants.
I agree. No one is supporting that. Yeah. I don't know who kind of like keeps them up. I don't know who starts them, but whoever it is, like, please stop. It's annoying. I still hate the Astros as much as anyone else, but like at some point you kind of just have to like look at them and be like, bro, they're actually killing it this year. Without Cole, without Verlander, and they
did just get swept by the Orioles though.
No, I know, but they're still going to win the West.
No,
yeah,
oh, yeah.
I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised if they come out of the AL this year. Like if I had to put money on a team, if it's like say White Sox, Astros, and the LCS, I'm taking the Astros.
They just have heart.
They find a way to win.
They do, and
sometimes
the Yankees
a little
don't.
Too much.
That's what it comes down to. But listen, Dan, you have anything else you want to touch on tonight?
Nah, I mean, the only thing I'm gonna say is like, bro, I'm sorry if I had some like down vibes today. Like,
no,
I was
same.
Good throughout the day. Like, it's weird. I actually wasn't that bummed throughout the day, but it's just like when you actually come on here to talk about Yankees baseball, like it's hard to fake optimism, you know. But still,
especially coming off that game last night.
That's it. That really is it. Like it's if they won that game last night, bro, I'm feeling totally different. I'm like my usual chirpy self, you know. So, dude, this is a marked a day in history though. Like I never criticized Joe's like that before.
No,
I guess yesterday
I'm very proud.
Marked a day in history.
It's well deserved.
Yeah,
it's well deserved.
And I'm not, bro. Like, but see, people think that like maybe I'm a sheep for Aaron Judge. Absolutely not, because I will criticize him. There are times like I will criticize him, like not as much as I did today, but like he very rarely gives me a reason to criticize him. That's why you don't really hear it too often. But
I still want to extend him, but you know, but imagine, Pat, we cannot end now. But that is gonna wrap things up for episode 4 of the Pat and Dan Show. Appreciate you all for stopping by. Like I always say, we're going live for the Pat and Dan Show every Monday and Thursday, either at 9 p.m. On an off day or a rain out in today's case, or directly after the Yankee game. Be sure to hit that first link in the description. Subscribe to the Pat and Dan Show YouTube channel. Dan produces an awesome produced version of the episode. Goes up every day following the live stream. And we're also going to be posting clips on there, so be sure to follow that. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Yankees pregame, starting a series with the Mets. Tomorrow I'll be live for the pregame, 6 p.m. Eastern time, so stay tuned for that. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more. We will see you guys next time. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. Peace.
Bye, everyone.